say power remains one of the crucial factors for success for or of any economy, but in Nigeria, it stands out as one of the impediments and, of course, challenges to economic development. And the NCN strike, which happened for a few hours yesterday, opens us to real talk on these compiled issues that we have in Nigeria. Again, I say excellent afternoon to all those who are watching us across the states in Nigeria. You're welcome to another interesting episode of Real Talk with Kike. Of course, I remain your convener, Kike Atanda-Owo, and I have our house husband in the house. I wish you guys can say it's fun, but anyways, that's fun. How you doing, Marshall?
Kicks, baby. I'm great. I'm great. You're all over the place on phone, on the crew guys, on your script, on your prompter. Wow. You're a handful.
I know. It can be crazy. This, as an entrepreneur, it's not easy, man.
I know.
Yeah.
By the way, you're beautiful, and I like the necklace you're wearing. It's
yeah.
beautiful.
So talking about that, I'm not really an accessory kind of person. I mean, gold person. Yeah. Whatever. But in recent times, I love pearls, especially original pearls, and you'll be so shocked. The original pearls are as expensive as gold.
Exactly.
So because of that, I've been loving it. More so, gold now these days, they've also tried to emulate how accessories is being done. And so you cannot even differentiate whether somebody is wearing real gold or accessory. But trust me, I know one when I say
it's really beautiful on you. It's a nice fashion accessory.
Thank you.
And I'd like to thank our viewers for coming on. Thank you for joining us. This is the Real Talk with Kike show. And my name is Marshall Anthony Onoye. It promises to be another interesting episode. And like Kike started off, the only thing she missed in that introduction was up NEPA. So we're going to be talking about the strike as well. Welcome.
All right, many thanks for that opening. And again, of course, let's go to On This Day in History segment. On this day, exactly 7 years ago, the Nigerian National Petroleum Commission, or Corporation rather, NNPC, was called upon to pay their outstanding fees by the end of the month, or they faced legal action. I think it's important for us to hear the full story on This Day in History segment. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
On this day in 2015, former Niger Delta militant leader Mujahid Dokubu Asari, factional leaders of the Udua People's Congress (OPC), Dr. Frederick Fasheum and Otumba Gani Adams, as well as other beneficiaries of the controversial pipeline security and surveillance contracts, called on Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) to pay the outstanding fees by the end of the month or face legal action.
That it's just unfortunate that NNPC was actually the one calling up. If not, they would take legal action. And of course, NNPC is one of my clients on the side there. So anytime their matter comes up on this platform, I cannot criticize them whether it's good or bad. But I'm actually happy that at least this happened 7 years ago. And I feel that when things like this happen, as far as I'm concerned, that is where work ethics comes in. There's a MOU, there's SLA that binds people when projects or how would I put it, organizations want to actually come together in terms of partnership to drive what's it called, a project. But when another person defaults from the service of agreement, this is where this is what happens. And it's just unfortunate that many of quite a number of organizations, they still go through something like this. But what's your take quickly on this one?
Yeah, you're right, Kike. But the Nigerian government, specifically, without trying to badmouth the Nigerian government, has been known to flout some legal laws. And as much as there was a lawsuit, it wouldn't really make them retrace or redress their steps. We've seen in the days of NEPA, in the days of PHCN, when they called out there was a lawsuit that Aso Rock, you can imagine Aso Rock owing, the power holding company in the tune of billions of naira. You can imagine that. So even I do not see what remedy, suing them would bring. They hold the power. And you know what they say about absolute power? It intoxicates absolutely. And so, yeah, it's just a reflection for us to look at back in time in history. All of this. I like the fact that Lagos state government has reintroduced history to the curriculum for secondary schools in Lagos State, because yeah, we seem to be, because I was going to say it's nice that we're looking back in time to see that NNPC was taking such a legal action against you know, the breach of contract, like you called it. You know, yeah, that's for me.
All right, many thanks, Marsha, for your submission on this day in history. I think it's important for us to go on a quick message from our sponsors before our technical director keep interrupting me on that. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. Striking workers of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, on Wednesday shut down the Electronic National Grid, causing blackouts across the country. And of course, the impact of the NCN strike began unfolding at about 10 a.m. on Wednesday, when the grid dropped from 4,149 megawatts recorded at about 6 a.m. to about 2,600 megawatts. And the grid capacity continued to drop as more workers at transmission stations drowned the tools, and fell further to 93.9.4 megawatt as at 3 p.m. and finally recorded zero generation at about 4 p.m. Within this 100 pounds, so to speak, you know, Nigeria has lost about 3 billion naira. Guys, do you know what that means when it comes to SME? But you know what? On the show today, we are already in the power sector. We are discussing about the disruption and of course the challenges and the feasibility or the feasible solution to these problems to our power generation sector. And to have a real talk with us, of course, on the show today is we have one of the chairman presidential task force on power. We hope that he will be able to join us before we end the show. And of course, we have the CEO of Sage Communication, is a barrister named by Bode Fadikpe, who was also the former manager cooperative corporation department, AEDC, within the power sector. So I know that these people have the power to touch on this topic. But guys, let's go and check his profile. But before going to check his profile, you know, Marshall, quickly, let's banter on this. You know, listening to the fact that we have lost 3 billion naira. It's so unfortunate, but you know what? Let's get a look at their profile. Stay with us before Marshall and I engage our guests. Be right back. Welcome to the show, Barrister Bode Fadikpe. It's a pleasure to have you on Real Talk today, despite the short notice. I really appreciate honoring my invite. How are you doing today, sir?
Well, I'm doing fine. Thank you so much for the honor to join you on this program.
All right. If it's possible, if you can help us adjust the frame of your camera so that we'll be able to see your face a bit clearer. All right. Sir, you know, the NUEE General Secretary, that is Joe Ajaero, you know, called for strike as a directive for the promotion interview, which was more or less like contravention of the workers' condition and career progression. But I must ask you, this issue did not just surface abruptly, before English will fail me. It has increased over time. How come issues like this, have continued, and it has affected the welfare and the career progression of the NUEE, and they've not fully addressed it till it cost our economy 3 billion naira, just like I emphasized in the introduction of the show today? What's your take on this?
Yes, thank you for that question. I think it goes beyond the issue of even promotion for staff or the welfare of workers in the power sector or in any sector for that matter. One of the grounds of the union is that people are being asked to appear for promotion interview from principal manager to the level of an AGM, which goes contrary to the condition of service that had been agreed upon before. Now, the issue here is not the promotion. I think we should get it very clear. The issue here is not the promotion. The issue here is the respect for agreement. Now, there is an agreement between the board, or between the union and the management, which is embedded in the condition of service of the organization. They have agreed that anybody who gets to the position of a principal manager will not go for promotion interview or will not write any aptitude test before it goes to the next level. So why is there a breach of that agreement? And you see, for me, that breach of agreement, as simplistic as it may seem, is part of the fundamental problems that we have in the power sector today. If you follow the trajectory in the controversy between generation and the other part of the power sector, you will see that generation has consistently said there has not been respect for agreements, for contracts that have been signed. For instance, they signed agreement or contract with the generating company on the issue of capacity. And all of a sudden, they breached that agreement, which is part of the problem that we're having in the power sector today. So the fundamental issue there is lack of respect for agreements. If there is an agreement, for God's sake, the part of civility is that people should respect that agreement. That agreement has not been respected, and I'm sure that is why the unions decided to go the way they went. That is one. Secondly, and I think this is very obnoxious, how can the head of the civil service of the federation write out a circular to say that because A has worked in the defunct power sector, he can no longer work in any agency in the power sector again? Excuse me, who does that? That is an affront on the fundamental human rights of those who have the competency, who have the academic qualification, and who have the energy to work. If a man is not up to 60, even if he's up to 60, you can still enter into a contract with him. You will not employ him formally. It will be a contract. But to now issue a circular to say because he was disengaged as a result of privatization, therefore he can no longer work in any of the public agencies in the power sector, and I think that is very, very unfortunate in this country.
Yes, sir. For me, I'll come from the angle of, permit me to play devil's advocate for a little while here. We've seen the effect of strike or industrial action on the academic sector. We've seen, despite the objectiveness or the objectivity in the actions of the academic staff union of university, we've continued to support them. Labour has continued to throw its weight behind ASU. But we cannot rule out the fact that it has had its own downward effects as well on the academic education sector in general. The question that begs my answer or your answer is industrial action or a strike the best way to have gone about this particular dispute? Couldn't there have been some form of legal action against the federal governments or parties concerned?
Well, for labor, again, maybe I should use your own expression at the risk of playing the devil's advocate too. For labor, they have several options. They can go to court. The court is a place that, they call it the
There seem to be
a lot of
some distracting noise around you. If the persons around you could be quiet for the time of the interview, we really would appreciate that.
yes, yes. I'm also bringing drawing their attention to that fact. I'm sorry for that. I'm actually traversing a particular part of the country. Now, the point I'm trying to make is this. There are several options that are available. One of them, I think Labour used one of the most civilized.
All right, listening to what you have shared a little, it's just unfortunate that Nigerians are asking that should the NCN, have so much power to hold in terms of entirety of the economy at this moment, and holding them to ransom. I just feel that, we're in this part of the country where people don't hold on or don't understand the magnitude of agreements, and most times they feel that okay, we have one contact person that will call here and there, hence the reason why most bargains that is being put on the table are not met. How do you think that we can change this culture? Because I feel that everything that people do today, the other side, is based on what has been done previously, and it has become a culture that has continued to carry on. What's your take on this?
Like we looked at on This Day in History segment, where we saw Gani Adams and Asari Dekubo calling on NNPC to pay its debt, or legal action will be instituted against them. That was a good move. If you ask me, I would have thought that the TCN or the NUEE would have, settled for legal action than holding the entire country, you and I, who have nothing to do with what they are fighting for, to ransom. I mean, shutting down the whole, and then you were reeling out the cost of that shutdown just for one day. Over 3 billion, you said?
3 billion?
Over 3 billion naira.
So I'm wondering, how can the whole nation be turned off or at a will, or in any case of workers where people cannot actually, it's unfortunate. And I think that I don't want to try and compare this administration and Babangida's administration, because I know that something like this has happened under Babangida administration. I hope I'm correct, where it actually put them in behind bars. I wish that there would be, sanctions so that it can prevent other people from doing the same. Why will you hold a whole country, in case of workers' dissatisfaction? In every organization, you will still find one or two workers who are grumbling here and there. That doesn't mean that organization have to come to a standstill. I'm sorry to say this. Let me also use the scenario where, let's say, one lost a staff. You don't understand? I keep telling people there's power beyond one. Afterward, they will say, rest in peace for 1 minute. We are only praying that God should give us longevity to do quite a number of things things happen, and why would one person? I just feel that this administration does not just sweep this under the carpet and just make sure that those who are behind this are actually put behind bars.
Kike, you're right. Your hopes, I tally mine with yours, but if the federal government or the Ministry of Power or for Power, however it is put, would do the right thing by penalizing parties on both sides. If there was an agreement that is being truncated or breached, the persons responsible for breaching that agreement should be brought to book. Not just saying, look, okay, TCN or NUAE, we're going to penalize you, we're going to take away your license, suspend your license, or fine them for XYZ, but also looking at the parties on the side of the federal government that are responsible for the grievances that these guys are holding on to, and ensuring that some penalties are put in place to forestall future occurrences. That's my take, if you ask me. Do we have our guests back now?
I don't think we have our guests back, but at this moment, it's just, I think you and I can actually do justice to this topic as well.
So for me, one strike too many. You've seen how, like I was trying to tell him, the barrister, how ASU strike has affected so many. In fact, I met a lady on Tuesday, just shortly before the show, who is a final year student in Unilag, and was telling me that she doesn't think she would want to go back to school. It's not just about the cost. It's not longer about affordability. But she has learned so much. She has put herself to good use in the time ASU has been on strike, and she's learned a trade, and she's feeling, look, why do I need to go back to school, even when the schools were on?
I like the angle you're coming from, because my partner and I had a conversation around this, and we're talking about quite a number of young ladies today would have joined prostitution. Some of them could have joined an SME skills, you know, and they might just ask themselves, or even a guy could have met them and along the way decide to marry them off and the likes and all of that. Tell me how someone like that will want to return to school. More so, it's not just about returning to school, it's about the fact that what they have learned in the last 2 semesters, can they even remember? You know, because I just feel that there are a lot of our actions that we do not understand how
the consequences,
and how it affects the future generation of this country. And it's unfortunate that, you know, we have the so-called leaders, so to speak, you know, heavily campaigning for 2020 election without even looking for how to provide solutions to the issues at hand. Look, we are still struggling with ASU. Now, power is now on the which. Power affects everything that we do, you know. So I'm wondering, what kind of leaders do we have in this country? And it's unfortunate that it seems as if there's nobody to hold them accountable. You and I can keep talking here and there and all of that, and they look at us and say, don't worry, you know, we'll reach out to them and the likes and all of that. But the question is, I feel that, I'm sorry, I used to think that the likes of EFCC, so to speak, you know, are people that can even try to balance some of the ills that is happening. But as of today, the National Assembly, who is supposed to hold our leaders accountable, don't even have the balls, so to speak. Let me use somebody.
You mean the
somebody's
rubber
word.
stamp National Assembly.
So how do we move forward? How do we provide solutions to this issue at hand as well? Can this repeat itself is the question that is in my head. What's your take on your final take on this?
I would have loved to ask our guests, though, well, I think some reasonable explanation is on the fact that we couldn't, were having difficulty with his network. He said that they are on a monitoring exercise transversing the length and breadth of the country. You could see him and his team, you know, moving there. So you might find erratic network along the way. So we apologize to our viewers for that. But I would have really loved to ask him, you know, that the question as to how the strike was called off. So you just wake up one day and then you look at Kike and you look at myself and you look at the entire Nigerian nation and you say, guys, we're shutting down. And then under a few hours, you know, say, oh, guys, we're back up. Hello? What happened at the end to have made you come back? Has it been resolved? Has the penultimate, the promotion, the compulsory promotion interview, has it been taken out of the agreement or has it been taken off? Has your grievances been addressed? You know, we wouldn't want, in a month's time, we would hear we cannot hold this show, we can't go live on Real Talk with Kike because you're going for another strike, because you have grievances. Those are the concerns that are genuine with the people that we really need to address. If we must throw our weight behind you and your request, if your request is really genuine, how come in few hours, oh, federal government is even the one announcing to us that the strike has been called off?
It's so unfortunate sometimes, really. I don't know how to keep emphasizing why I'm Nigerian, even though I don't look like you guys, you know. But the question is, what's the lasting solution to this power grid collapses? Of course, I had a guest on my radio show yesterday where we're talking about the medical sector. You just imagine which sector in Nigeria is actually working. I cannot really place my hand or my fingers on any sector that is actually working successfully. But guys, it's important for me to take a message from our sponsors. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, glad to know you're still with us. In case you just joined the show, today's conversation is about the challenges that we are facing that have led to the power gridlock shutdown that have disrupted our sector. We also we have with us a stakeholder who has been giving us feasible policies on those solutions in terms of the problems in our power generation sector. And we've been having issues with the network, you know, being a bit erratic and all of that. But the person we have been engaging is the former manager of Cooperative Communication Department, that is the EEDC, Barrister Bode Fadepe. And of course, we'll try and reconnect with him. Hopefully, we'll be more settled artisan where there are no there are no noises or there are no voices that will be distracting us from hearing him properly. But don't forget that you can be part of this conversation by calling the studio number 08098877400, and of course it should be showing on your screen right now, and we are live on Real Talk with Kike Facebook page and YouTube page, and of course on Silverbird platform as well. You know, with all that you and I have bantered on, Masha, you know, I know that the Minister for State of State of Power, right? That's no, that's not in Gige. That's Godi. I'm trying to remember Godi JD Agba or something. I hope I remember properly. Actually appealed, you know, for a 2 weeks grace, you know, and I was wondering 2 weeks grace again. How would these issues be addressed? We've seen how ASU strike, you know, they've given all sorts of back and forth, unrealistic timelines, and yet we are still where we are. So, especially talking about this administration that has, you know, failed us in different sectors, you know, resolving issues is like a no-no to them. I've not seen anything that the current president has actually, you know, preferred solutions to, because normally challenges are supposed to come.
How would you say that, Kike?
Yes, that's how I feel, and I think I'm entitled to my opinion.
But I think you're wrong.
I just feel that what is that 2 weeks?
I think you're very wrong.
Okay, throw more light on that. What is that 2 weeks ultimatum that has been given? How are you sure that issues will be addressed and be resolved?
Before I go on, I just want to say why I said I think you're very wrong, saying that you don't see problems, solutions to problems that the president has brought about. He has brought about the problem of a solution to the problem of lack of, you know, access to Niger Republic. I mean, we have road access now and rail access to Niger Republic.
Congratulations.
You know, that's great. That's a huge one. It used to be a problem, but now it's no longer a problem. But moving forward, you see, for me, like you said, 2 weeks time, are we going to hear TCN and NUEE saying, oh, we're going for another strike? Kike, when this strike was under discussion, we were hearing, oh, tomorrow we're going on strike. Someone actually told me the strike no go last. APC no go let them happen because it is one too many. ASU already, they are being flogged already for ASU strike. And then hike in diesel prices. The cost of living in Nigeria now is on a high. Everything is just over the roof. So to now pilot the TCN and NUEE strike on it, you know, they said, look, it's not going to happen. And that's what we just saw. I am yet to hear 2 weeks. I mean, if the government is telling you that they're going to look into it and you just call it off for only 2 weeks, why didn't they just say, okay, we're going to take this back. We apologize. Let's stick by the book. Let's stick to agreement. Why did they have to say, okay, we're going to look into it? So I just feel some permutations that are not yet known to us have gone on. You know, that's what we usually see. They are yet to tell us what really transpired in their closed-door meetings to have had the federal government themselves come out to say the strike has been called off.
You know, Marsha, well said, you know, but let me pick you from the economy. Okay, we have a phone call. Momo, many thanks for calling from River State. What's your contribution on the topic at hand?
Please, concerning this issue.
Yeah, go ahead.
That we are talking about. I had your other colleague there talking about why will they go on strike. You know the nature of this government. They don't hear anything. You were given warning. Why didn't you avoid the consequence of the 3 billion that is lost? Why did you call them immediately? The government is so lactentious about everything. They just do their own thing. They don't care about the people. If they care, they will first and foremost ensure that it did not happen by forcing them from going on strike, going to negotiate. The same negotiation they negotiated now for them to call up the strike would have been done. Why not avoid it?
All right.
That is the same attitude with the actual strike going on.
All right, Momo, many thanks for your contribution on the topic at hand. You know, what I wanted to say earlier is the
Momo
fact
is
that
obviously one of the stakeholders in the power sector.
of
Obviously.
you know, it's just unfortunate that Nigeria is just an expanding population, because I was coming from the fact that you were talking about the population and the economy at the moment, you know, and I felt that, you know, the population which is expanding, the need of generation 4, a citizen of economic production. Do you know how many people rely on power every day to produce one or two things? Even in the hospitals, we've seen how somebody even died in Ondo State recently due to power. And I'm wondering how come that this current administration, I cannot help but call them out, because I just feel that the latest global statistics that is being put out there is about 200,000 megawatts for over 216 million people to optimize full year of economic performance. Yet we are still facing challenges of what's it called, of them not reacting to challenges or trying to provide solutions to what is at hand. For how long will this continue is my problem. Is the fact that it has become a culture. I keep emphasizing on that word culture, because I realize that previous administration, one way or the other, even though I want to say that former President Goodluck Jonathan actually, I must say, he did wonderfully well, you know, with the fact that the economy wasn't this bad, dollar rate wasn't this bad, you know. Sometimes until you test the other side before you realize that the other party is actually doing a better job, you know. So it's just unfortunate that we have an administration that have refused to also give accountability, and they live in a way that, you know, regardless, however, okay, I understand that our guests have been back. Hello, Barrister, but the many thanks for reconnecting with us. Are you there now? Are you with us? All right, it's just I'm not sure that we'll be able to connect to our guests going forward. Let's just try to handle issue. What's your take? Because Marshall, really, you know, we are going through brain drain in this country. I read in the news yesterday, 2 weeks ago, where the medical sector, what's this agency saying that we would be needing to import medical practitioners to the country to help us out in that sector. And I'm wondering, when there are quite a number of medical students, you know, leaving the country to go to all the eastern country, the middle belt and the middle west and the likes and all of that, what exactly is wrong with us that we cannot just develop our country? We go to other African countries, for goodness sake. Look how they are trying to manage their resources and their country. Yes, Nigeria, that we have oil, so to speak, we have quite a number of things that we can use to, you know, put this country into a better place. Yet our leaders are actually distracted. They rather take that money to go and spend in those developed countries. So how do we move forward from here?
You know, your friend Alhaji Lai Mohammed some time ago was, let me paraphrase Kike, each time I call him your friend, he's your friend. Anyway, your friend Alhaji Lai Mohammed.
My father's friend, not my friend.
Anyway, he was quoted as saying that when he was interviewed, you know, responding to questions fielded by journalists, he was asked about his take on Nigerian doctors who are doing so well and making the health sector of other countries thrive. You can Google, you can read online, you can, on the pages of newspapers, you hear daily how Nigerians are doing exploits in other countries, especially in the medical field. And, you know, paraphrasing, he said something like, it is nice that it is our country men that are developing those countries. Isn't it a good thing? You know, and then to hear now, Kike is telling me that maybe Resident Doctor Association or whatever medical sector, from the medical sector, saying that we would need to import manpower. Yeah. This is gross failure on the part of the government. Gross failure. They seem not to know that there is something wrong in certain things. Momo, who called in, and I said, I'm sure, obviously, he's a member of the, he's a stakeholder in the power generation or power distribution sector. Not to say that I'm trying to, you know, make light of your action. No, I think, yes, the federal government should have listened to the plight of, or the request of your stakeholders or the members of your staffing community. However, I also do think that it was not reasonable. It was not there wasn't enough caution applied to taking national action on the shutdown of electricity distribution and supply. That was too much. We seem to be too selfish. And I wish TCN and NUEE decided to go on strike on the basis of the harsh economic effect on the populace of Nigeria when diesel was hiked, when petrol prices was hiked. You know, go on strike and tell the government that, look, we're going on strike, we're shutting down system because we think the people are suffering. We don't do all of this until when it concerns us. Look at what's happening in the security sector. And nobody's talking until it gets to your doorstep. That's when you start hearing things like, we've deployed men, we've done this and done that to forestall occurrence of insecurity and all of that. You don't know how genuine these cases are until it gets to your doorstep. So I feel it's a selfish action. I feel it wasn't good enough to have shut down the entire electricity supply or distribution chain of the country just simply because you have a derogatory or discriminatory promotional process or exercise that was made compulsory for the TCN or NUEE. It was absolutely unacceptable for me.
You're absolutely right, Marshall, because we are beginning to see a wave of strike that is upon strike from different sectors in the economy, from ASU to NUEE to NC to NMA to aviation sector. I wish I can touch on aviation right now. You know, when I was talking to the chairman of one of the top leading airlines in Nigeria, and you know, I was just lamenting on the cost of air tickets.
Okay.
You know, even locally, things are quite, you know, expensive now, as if you are going international. So, you know, things are not just working well in this country. And I'm beginning to feel that this is becoming torturing for our economy at the moment. And I pray that, I hope, not even pray now, because I feel that we are a religious country where sentiment have been attached to quite a number of things that we need to eradicate in our system. But however, very soon I feel that all of this will lead to anarchy. And I'm extremely serious about it, because I feel that with all that is happening, where solution has not been preferred, I wish that we're able to connect to, I guess, where I can talk about the legal system of handling these issues, because it has become, you know, it's so unfortunate. You know, sometimes I really don't blame or fault parents who decide to say that they want to take their children abroad to go and study, regardless of however dollar rate is at the moment. They feel that, you know what, we'll work our ass out. Well, the most important thing is that we must give our children basic amenities and put them in an environment where they can learn successfully without all of these challenges. It's not easy for any parent. If things were working in this country, I do not think any parents would want to send their children out of the. Look at ASU strike, for example. Even the private universities at this moment, you hear all sorts from them. Sometimes I wonder, even though I went to a private university, guys, but the question is, I went there when things were still working a little bit, you know, parents and the school can still meet halfway. You know, I feel for those people who go to Covenant University at the moment. I don't know if I should be saying this, but sometimes I feel that it's more or less like a glorified secondary school, where in abroad, your talent, your skills, do you understand? Your personality comes into play when it comes to the kind of profession you should find yourself. But in our country, if everything is not book, if you have to be book one, you have to be doing. It's not about how street smart are you.
Oh,
there are quite a number of people today.
Now, even you would have been better. I was trying to tell you about the lady I met who said even when they were in session, what were they getting? You just have a lecturer who says, if you don't buy this textbook, forget about attending all the classes. Forget about knowing the questions, the answers to all the questions I asked on the exam. You must buy this textbook. That is your leeway to, you know. So she was saying, whether ASU goes on strike, ASU doesn't strike, that she's not interested in school anymore.
All right,
you know.
And it's about no more, like Yoruba people will say, it's only those who are affected that will understand the agony of what is going
Kike.
on this sector. We'll go on a quick break and get a word from us. And when we return, we'll go to our trending stories that still bind us and interest us all. Stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, many thanks for staying with us. I hope those who have listened to us today will kind of have a place of hope. I think that individually, people have to start looking out for themselves, because obviously government cannot do anything at the moment, and especially when it comes to insecurity, when it comes to parents actually engaging their children in some skills or the other during this ASO strike, and of course even those who are in the who are ill, that might need the attention, or that will need the attention of doctors. I pray that may such not even befall us at the moment, except if you have the money to go to private hospital. But moving on away from all of that, let's go to the trending story. These are stories that interest us, like Masha likes to refer to it or call it. The first trending story that caught our attention is that of Tinubu and political allies, right? Allies, rather, that visited Obasanjo. That's past tense here, visited. Masha, let me come to you for what's your take on this?
Well, I heard, what we had from the RTWK platform was a link to how, yes, Tinubu visited Obasanjo. The governor was there. The Speaker of the House of Representatives was there. And several other government dignitaries were there. And they visited Obasanjo and left. But I didn't see on that, link what the octogenarian said, the statesman said. But what on other platforms I could see they were saying, unverified though, but it's nice to share, that Obasanjo pulled Tinubu aside and told him, if you really love this country, why don't you let go of this, your desire, and let a younger person who is more agile take over, the seat of power. This is something I'd really want to believe that Obasanjo might have said. If you look at the pictures, he didn't really seem happy with the entourage in his house, and people had actually picked on that. If you go on Twitter, you would see pictures posted where people are saying, oh, Obasanjo wasn't really happy with Tinubu. Look at the way he was looking at him. Look at the way he was backing him. Look at the way he was holding his hands. I could really sense or smell that really this man might not really have had a swell time playing host to the APC entourage who visited him. And I would want to believe that he might have said something in that nature, that if really the Jagaban of Lagos really loves Nigeria, he would want to, step aside for someone more younger and vibrant to take over.
Masha, I don't know where to start from. Because, social media, people tend to want to read body languages. People tend to say all sorts. But many people, I know that many people have started, castigating Tinubu, for this news on social media. And of course, I, for one, I'm not shocked that this actually took place because of the antecedents of positions between the two people. Yes, they were sworn enemies for years, and I know that, one of my visits to Obasanjo, I don't want to say much, there are quite a number of things that was said and quite a number of things that he has also put in the public space as well in terms of his own perspective towards the APC candidate at the moment. But for the record, let me put it like this, my real talk is that I commend Tinubu for such visitation, and the reason why I'm saying that is the fact that he has done well. For you to be a leader, for you to want to aspire to become a leader, you need to learn to understand that openness and embracing people from different walks of life, regardless of your personal issues, that we put aside. So I welcome the fact that he actually went to visit the statesman, former President Olusegun Obasanjo. And don't forget that Bola Tinubu had visited Ogun State like 3 times, and finally he decided that, visiting that same state, is high time for him to actually pay the visit to one of our former presidents that lives in the state. And for me, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, like I said earlier, is an elderly man, is a statesman, he should bear no enemies or opposition to any leadership, hence is reason why that he would also accept it, accept the acceptance to advise or guide whoever that emerges as the president is important from someone like that, who has been on that corridor of power and been on that seat. This is not about assumption. This is about experience. Do you understand what I'm saying? So there's no, from Bola Ahmed Tinubu's perspective, there's no permanent friend as far as I'm concerned. There's no permanent enemies or permanent interest in politics. And sometimes, you know, politics requires doing, dealing or dining with your opposition, and there has to be an all-inclusive togetherness in when you want to be a leader. So as old-time opposition, I know that one of our former governor as well of Ogun State, Bode just has condemned his visitation, while I think Femi Fani-Kayode and Falana, I think, also supported the motive behind the visitation, which I understand where they are coming from, because, you know, just like I've emphasized earlier, you know, there are no permanent enemies, there are no only permanent, but just a permanent interest too can change. And where am I coming from? Once upon a time, I would say that there are certain things that I cannot do when it comes to love. I'm sorry to say that 10 years ago, but today I've changed. I will tell you that, okay, I can bend, I can, because some people say maybe you're not truly. I say yes, I am. But however, for me, right, Obasanjo has said it, and I just feel that what is important at the moment is about voting. You know, the important thing for us right now is to understand that, you know, Obasanjo has not actually come to say that, oh, this is who he has not declared to say I'm endorsing him, or this is who we should be voting for, and the likes and all of that. It's about we Nigerians to understand that the power is in our hands, and we are capable of delivering this country from the hardship that we are going through on different sectors. And I pray God will help us, but I may not fault him for him visiting the southern eastern Nigerian elders yet, but I just feel that there are a lot of things that is coming out from that visitation, filming, but more importantly, you know, I'm glad that they've been able to bury their ashes and we are moving forward, and that is what leadership entails. Quickly, I hope we still got time. I don't know if you can touch on this for 3 minutes. The second trending story that caught our attention is that of the law student, you know, that was dehumanized in the public space. But Marshall, quickly, what's your take in 1 minute?
I'll just give a summary. A law student who was seen in that video, her hair being chopped off because of what they said was an illicit way of dressing or appearance. And you could see the lady who was chopping off her hair in that video. You can see her hair, you know, her own hair itself. I think it was just very, very dehumanizing, a very wrong move. As a law stakeholder, you should know the interpretation of law and human rights. You should respect the rights of people. You should be one of, if not the highest custodians of the law of the land. So what are they teaching the students in the school then, if this is what they will do to one of theirs?
All right, many thanks, Marshall, for what you've just, for your submission. But for me, I just feel that it's an absolute harassment and a public embarrassment as far as I'm concerned. However, are there laws and school regulations that guide such a violation is what we should be asking ourselves. You know, it is absolutely wrong and barbaric to cut her hair in a public space like that, subjecting her to humiliation, you know, despite the fact that, you know, I know that she could have done wrong. And I also feel that, you know, there will be law, you know, guiding dress code, if you ask me, in any school, which I feel that she should have, adhered to one way or the other. However, still, I'm not saying that she's right, but expect the fact that she will go through some, how would I put it, law guiding career issues as well. The fact that, you know, the next course of action of this situation that happened will come into play. She has her own fault too as well that she needs to hold on to. But the school are more responsible for their actions. What would you have done? You know, but
there were things you have done.
Yes, I could have just told her, go and losing the hair.
One,
go and losing the hair. Then after that, I can give you suspension.
Two,
you know, so that it can help the other students from not doing the same thing. But you know, it's just unfortunate. I just feel that she should have been treated better according to the rules of the institution guiding all of them, and the fact that the so-called two adults who engaged in this, knowing that we are in a digital space where everybody is a camera man or camera woman that you should at least, you know, pay attention to your actions, so to speak. But you know what? In this world that we live now, nobody cares because everybody just feels that anything can go. With that, we've come to the end of another edition of Real Talk with Kike, and I must say many thanks to Marshall for doing this well, man, and of course, you know, for holding it down. You know, you do it all the time. God, before all our mics start calling our brain, God is blessing. All right, we need to wrap up now.
Okay.
Till I come your way next, to remember to be kind to one another and put a smile on somebody's face, regardless of the challenges that you find yourself. My name is Kike. It doesn't change. That's why I've been engaged.
And I am Marshall Anthony Onoye, and I'm only saying, let there be light. God bless you.
Amen. And every light.